Dude, I love Twitter threads, but I can't use Twitter. Like, I cannot use it. I don't know why. I have tried so many times. And in fact, I'm kicking myself because years ago, I actually had the Twitter handle Keegan Winfield.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you want your name.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I'm never fucking using Twitter. I'm not going to use this. So I deleted my Twitter. And then when I went back to it, like every variation of my first and last name was taken.
Right.
Except for like, I think my Twitter handle is now like Keegan_win or something like that. And so like, that's what I have. But I'm like, that's so dumb. Like I wish I had my actual like name.
Right.
But I waited too long and now I don't.
Well,
but
you had it and then you're like, forget it.
I had it and I lost it because I was just like, I don't care. But for as much as I have a hard time with Twitter, I greatly enjoy when people screenshot Twitter threads.
Oh, so good.
And put them places. Like
The
it's the best.
Petco one is like, we hope you enjoy these toys.
They look like sex
they're
toys,
like,
but they're like dog toys.
The replies though too, God. Adobe Photoshop. Haters will say this is photoshopped and it's a
long eggplant. It
Long
looks like
eggplant.
Jason Derulo's
oh, it totally does.
dick. Which, by the way, we did put that on we put a poll on our Instagram.
Results of the poll.
The results of the poll were, it was close. I was checking it all day and it was neck and neck all day. There were times when one swung one way and then the other way.
Just like his dick.
Just like his dick. And then at the end of the day, I believe the last that I checked, it was 52% for edited and 48% for real. So it was pretty much down the middle.
Jason, if you're listening,
52% of our fans think that your dick is fake.
so you should come and prove it.
Yeah, prove it, bitch.
My address is
I'm going to need to see it without the shorts on.
Yeah.
So that I can make a
I'm
decision.
without that skirt.
I mean, it truly did look like. And
I know.
It was so funny that someone tweeted at us.
Oh, that's right.
They quoted you, or they were just like, his dick makes his shorts look like a skirt. And like LOL, like crying, laughing emojis, because it truly it did.
It did though. Like if you just looked at it straight on, I was like, why is he wearing a?
Someone also shared a Twitter thread in our Facebook group, and this made me laugh so hard. It made me laugh and also made me like a little angry. But somebody posted, "What's the funniest excuse for cheating someone has given you?" I'll go. My ex told me he cheated on me because I had a driving phobia.
Okay.
Why? This person says, one of the many times my ex cheated on me, he told me, "She has the same name as you. I thought it would be a funny story to tell you later on." What? It was indeed not a funny story.
Oh my God.
The other girl bought him a Jimmy John's sandwich, so he had to pay her back somehow. Jimmy John's tweeted at them and said, "Boy, bye."
Like, Jimmy John's like, no, thank you.
No, don't drag us into this.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking
No.
not.
No.
He said my head was too small in comparison to his, and he was worried he'd always have to stand behind me in pictures.
That was the best one. That is the best.
So I had to cheat on you. But I couldn't break up with you.
Right.
Oh
my
my
own
God.
physical insecurity meant that I had to cheat on you.
The small head.
Because I wanted him to change and didn't accept his flaws. He was on heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, because this poor girl, how many times has she been cheated on? Was it all from the same person, or were they separate people? Because here's her tweet. Because I came home in a bad mood. Because I was a state away. Because he was drunk. But my personal favorite was, I didn't want to wake you up.
Oh, I didn't want to. You know what? You looked so peaceful. I cheated.
I cheated because you look like a sleeping angel.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I mean, and also the one where like, I cheated because you came home in a bad mood. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I burn this human and start over.
It's rage inducing, but it's also interesting to see like what people think they can get away with. Like, you know what I mean? Or like the rationalizations. Like at that point, just be like, I don't know, man. Like that would be better than being like, she bought me a Jimmy John sandwich and I had to pay her back somehow. Those sandwiches cost literally $5.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
I don't know. Venmo exists, bro. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Get her back next time. I had a $5 sandwich.
Yeah.
Maybe you're that bad in bed.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
worth $5.
And it's just like, to me,
I got $5.
you're right. It would be better for them to just to come up with those lame ass fucking excuses. It's just, it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And who's coming back and being like, you know what? I get it. I can understand.
I
What?
did come home in a bad mood. You're right.
You're right. You deserve some strange for that.
Absolutely fucking no one.
No.
Nobody. I was asleep. Thank you for not waking me up.
It was a good sleep.
It was
too.
I woke up refreshed. Thanks so much.
And you were refreshed, and I didn't have to do anything. That is not.
Okay, but you know what? Fucking jerk it then if it's that important to you. Because yes, don't wake me up. Actually, I don't want to be woken up. I enjoy sleeping.
Oh, love
and
it.
do not want to be woken up. I told Anthony recently, I don't know if he'll like that I'm telling this on the podcast, but whatever. We were talking about how I don't know what we were talking about, but I said, well, I mean, actually, the other day I was like annoyed with you. And he was like, why? And I was like, because you shook me to wake me up.
Ooh.
Whenever he was like, just to say goodbye to me or something, to like leave to go to work. And he literally like shook me. And I was like, I woke up so annoyed. Like I was like,
like,
what? He's like, bye. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, I don't like to be woken up. That is absolutely true. But you know what? Porn exists and you have your hand. So
True.
Go enjoy yourself alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need to relieve yourself that badly. Okay. So I keep wanting to bring this up on the podcast. I keep forgetting to put it in my notes of things to talk about. But weeks and weeks ago, we were having the body crumb conversation. Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. I'm sorry. We're looping it back around.
No.
Because since that conversation, a couple of people have reached out to me to talk to me about body crumbs.
Oh, no.
One of them is a friend of mine whose name I will not mention on this podcast. But she texted me to tell me that her fiance, his mother, kept the foreskin from his penis when he was circumcised.
I don't like where this is going.
I mean, that's it. That's all she told me was that she kept it. Because we were talking about like
Body crumbs.
how my mom kept like teeth, and how like weird I think that is to keep teeth. And she was like, well, she kept his foreskin, which I was like, but for why?
But for why?
For what?
Oh, I
Dead?
hate this.
Skin. It's
Like,
like
you know what? All shriveled up and shit too.
gross.
And it's gotta be like teeny.
Yeah, it's a baby penis.
Baby penis. What?
I mean, and then also, I know people who have also kept their baby's umbilical cords,
Oh, I
like
don't like that
when you
either.
cut them, like, and I've seen them later, and they like shrivel all the way
And,
up.
don't they get miscolored and stuff? Like, doesn't that shit rot?
I don't
hate
know,
it.
like, how do you preserve it?
I hate
Yeah.
this.
But then,
Got it in a small picture frame.
so just a shadow box, like a little shadow box, on the mantle. So
Is that a scab?
when we were talking about teeth and keeping teeth, our friend, again, I won't mention names because I don't know if they care or not, but our
now you're
friend
gonna tell us.
Mackenzie,
Yeah.
Okay.
she was talking to me about how her grandma kept her grandpa's teeth when he had to have his teeth pulled for dentures or whatever. She kept them, plated them in gold, and then made a bracelet out of them.
What kind of
Why?
macabre shit?
I don't understand. I don't understand. So yeah, I had to bring that up. It's been on my mind. Like every time I leave,
Ooh, I hate it.
I'm like, oh fuck! I meant to mention the body crumbs that have recently. So if you have more body crumbs, stories,
No.
I want them. Address them to me
Attention,
because
Keegan.
I think this is fucking weird and hilarious.
Oh my
Oh.
god, man!
This is a good time to say this is my worst date, and I'm Cassie, and that was Keegan. Who
I'm
wants that.
Keegan. Yes. So in subject line, body crumb story.
Per Keegan.
Keegan. Yeah. In the subject line.
I'm Christina. I will not take those.
Oh,
Thank you.
I will tell them. I'll tell you all about
I
them.
know.
So
I
don't worry
know.
about it.
I know. Don't worry about it. Did you see Justin Timberlake's apology?
Okay. Again, going back to what we talked about last time, I don't think there's anything to apologize about. He just looked super fucking drunk. And now that I've seen the video.
I've seen the video.
Yeah.
I've seen the video, and Anthony and I watched the video together, and we both. if anything, I think her body language might be a little bit of like a little flirtatious. His body language didn't look flirtatious
No,
to me.
not
It
at all.
looked like he was
drunk.
wasted.
Yeah.
That's it.
He looked wasted. And so
He sat in that fucking chair for 30 hours. I was like, I was like, is this going to go somewhere? Because
no, and
I'm bored.
there was literally nothing about his interaction with her that made me think he's trying to bone her at all.
if one of my friends brought me a video of my husband having that interaction and was showing it to me, I'd be like, what am I supposed to be seeing? What am I waiting
just be
for?
more mad for him, be like, dude, how fucking wasted did you get?
honestly,
I wouldn't
yeah.
either be. I wouldn't even
like-
care either way. I'd be like, oh, you got fucked, bruh.
Bruh.
Bruh, you got fucked.
Yeah, the apology was weird to me, and it made me
stupid.
feel like, did Jessica Biel was she upset? Did she want him to
No,
apologize for this? Like,
He just wants
feel
people to
like
shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly. It's so stupid. But
yeah,
it's like,
it was
well,
weird.
that is what we do now, like picking apart, like, it must be impossible to have a relationship as a celebrity. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, it's hard enough to date when nobody gives a like when you don't have tabloids shooting pictures or trying to concoct these big scandals so they can sell like papers or whatever.
Right. It is
Yeah.
the most concocted bullshit I've ever seen.
And
It's so
someone
stupid.
commented in our Facebook group where they were like, how repressed are we as a culture that there is a hand holding scandal?
Ugh.
Like, how sexually repressed are we that like that's a thing that we're like
That's a
even
good point.
talking
That's
about?
Actually, I was just talking about this to Dude Face earlier this week, where we were talking about horror movies, and I was telling the story that my parents couldn't find a babysitter for me when I was like 5 years old, and they wanted to go to a 24-hour horror film festival.
Oh my God.
So, of course, what do you do when you have a 5-year-old and you want to do something? You take that 5-year-old with. I saw
No, in the 80s you do,
in
for
the
sure.
80s.
Oh, yeah.
I saw The Reanimator.
Oh my God.
Night of the Living Dead. Like the most frightening films. My dad would cover my eyes for any
For
of
the
the
sex
sex
part.
parts,
Mhm.
but the fucking violence and gore.
No,
just
I mean
fine.
it's a
So
really
true.
weird thing.
That
And if
is
you
so
if you
true.
talk to people from like other countries, it is very strange that in this country we are fine with violence.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it is completely ingrained in our culture. Like there is no problem watching people get shot up, and in fact, we just kind of deem it as part of like, you know,
We're
little.
reaping the benefits of it too, because the one thing that happens in this country, mass shootings, and the other thing that happens in this country is lack of talk of sex, which leads to unwanted pregnancies and STDs. We are literally the living proof that this is
It's
not
the
way.
wrong
Yeah.
way to go, and it's very strange. It's really weird
Yeah.
that we glorify violence. We almost sexualize violence,
Yeah.
like in a way, but we have such an aversion to actual sex and nudity.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
weird. Like, yeah, if you look at the guidelines for what will turn a movie from like PG-13 to R, it is almost always sex or
Boobs.
sexual or nudity. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very rarely like gratuitous violence.
Right.
You know,
No,
you can have a lot of that and it still be a PG-13 movie.
that's wild, isn't
yeah,
it?
It's so wild.
very strange. Yeah.
and yeah, like growing out and trying to date people that have been like, I mean, people's views on sex and their own sexuality or being able to even have a conversation about it
Oh, true.
are so fucking twisted. They're so twisted. It's our school, like, you know, what kind of sex ed did we have?
Yeah.
Like we had that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way our parents are. Which movies were we allowed to see when we were little?
Yeah.
That's
All the
what
scary
happens
ones.
versus-
when you have a culture built on Puritanism.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's just like
Well, even the way that we sexualize mothers who are feeding their babies. Get the fuck out
Oh, I know.
of here. Why
People
is
get-
this?
oh, boobs
Why
are
are we
sexualized
still-
in such a weird
Why are we
way.
still in this culture? I mean, we're talking about third world countries where it's so common that a woman would pull out a boob and feed a baby, but in a country that is so modernized that we are like, if a mom stops to feed her child in a restaurant or something, that is, I mean, people will lose their
Yeah, we
fucking
would
mind.
rather
Yeah.
make mothers go and sit in dirty bathroom
Yeah.
stalls
Fucking
alone and isolated so that their baby can have a meal. And by the way, newborns eat every fucking 20 minutes.
No
Not quite
shit.
that much, but a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so it's just like isolating
Yeah.
Yeah.
these women constantly or just telling them that they shouldn't leave the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Being a
so
new mom
bizarre.
is very isolating anyway. So then on top of it, to feel like you are going to be penalized for doing the thing that your baby needs. That's wild. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. There's so much about our culture that is like so ass backwards. Like
It's so
it
stupid.
makes no sense at all.
None.
I forget how we got on this subject. It was like you talking about being a 5-year-old
Nope.
and
Foreskins, biblical cords, maybe.
I have
I have no idea.
Oh,
We
yeah,
lost
5
our
years
train.
old, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We went on a journey.
We went off the tracks.
Yeah, we did. What else we got? What should we fuck, marry, kill this week?
Oh man, it's January.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. It's still December. Wow, where am I?
jumping way ahead.
Christmas. You skipped Christmas.
Oh, I got.
I'm not surprised,
I got a
Cassie,
new
to be honest.
job.
Yay!
I'm real stoked about. I actually fucking love my new job.
That's
I love my
great.
new peoples. I'm real stoked.
Starting a new job is stressful. Like
Yeah.
it's anxiety provoking for
Yeah.
sure.
I was going with the boss thing because I was like, we could do like famous like working men. Like
We could do
famous
Ooh.
like
Yeah, TV bosses.
TV bosses.
TV bosses.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I'm watching The Office, so I gotta go Michael Scott.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Which one's Michael Scott?
Steve Carell.
Oh, okay. I'm like I haven't watched. That.
I'm gonna do Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec.
Oh, that's a good one.
Excellent.
I'm gonna do Alec Baldwin from 30 Rock then.
Oh my God, this is great.
My God, this is
Okay.
This
really
is fantastic.
good. Oh my God, I need to marinate on this for a second.
Okay.
This is actually really hard.
I
So
know what
what's
I'm gonna
Steve
do.
Carell's boss name again?
Michael Scott.
So it's Michael Scott,
What's
Nick Offerman,
Ron Swanson
Ron
Oh, duh.
Swanson.
Yeah, Ron
Yeah.
Swanson and
and
Lemon? It's February.
I love him. I love that character so much.
Jack Donaghy.
Oh, that's
Jack
right. Donaghy.
Okay, so
Okay.
oh God, actually, hold on.
Hmm.
Fuck. I
don't
thought
know
I
The
knew what I
Office.
was gonna do.
I don't know The Office well enough. I watched some Parks and Rec. I've watched some The Office. 30 Rock. I've watched top to bottom and some.
Really, for me, it comes. I've seen 30 Rock a million times. I've seen like through several times. I've seen Parks and Rec through several times, and I'm on my first watch of The Office right now, several seasons deep at this moment. So, really, what it comes down for me is trying to decide if I want to fuck who I want to fuck or marry.
Yeah. I think I know.
Okay,
I think I know too.
I think I know. I'm going to marry Jack Donaghy because he's fucking hilarious and he's so dry and he's got tons of money.
That's true.
And I just love that character so much. Probably just maybe just because that's the one I know the most. I'm going to fuck Ron Swanson because I don't know why. I think it's just because I love
Solid
Nick
choice.
Offerman.
It's a
and-
solid choice.
He's got big dick energy.
He does have big dick energy.
Ron Swanson is a confident guy.
Yeah.
Yes, and that man, he is going to go out and he's going to get your dinner
And I'm not going to
off
lie.
the land, and he's going to bring it
Yes.
home and he's going to cook it for you.
Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally are like
The
Their
best.
the best.
relationship
They're
goals.
The best, yes.
For real. So like there's some secrets.
Oh, they do freaky shit.
You know they do.
Know they do.
No, they do.
Yeah.
So and then I'm gonna kill.
Michael Scott.
Yeah, because I cannot.
It's the right call.
and I love Steve Carell.
I do too. Steve Carell is definitely on my list
Yeah,
of like
maybe we should do this with the actual actors.
And
No.
he's brilliant as well. Steve Carell is brilliant, and what he does with
Oh.
Michael Scott is hilarious.
yeah, but you can't. Yeah.
yeah.
That character's the worst.
I'm gonna kill him too. Like that character, Michael Scott. If we're doing just the characters, Michael Scott he would drive me
Absolutely
fucking
nuts.
insane.
I couldn't
whole,
work for him
I
either.
couldn't
Like when
work
you
for
watch
him.
this show, I'm just like, how the fuck? And
He's
yes,
horrible.
I understand it is what it needs to be, but like I'm watching this show, like how the fuck hasn't this guy gotten fired yet? He's such an idiot too.
He
It's
is.
like it's not just that he's cringy and annoying and clueless.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that he's so dumb.
I cannot with an unaware person, like
Yeah.
just somebody that lacks self-awareness to that extent. It just drives me fucking
And
crazy.
as someone who gets
It's horrible.
secondhand embarrassment,
Yes.
imagine you
Yes.
could never be around that person for longer than 5 minutes because he would embarrass you so
I
badly.
know. I think about like starting to date someone like that and then bringing him to the friend group. Someone that that's my.
I just got chills.
I
all
know.
the way up my
and
fucking
don't
Yeah.
like that.
No.
spine.
No.
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 Okay. I think we've all killed him.
I'm
Yes.
gonna fuck Jack Donaghy.
Okay,
because
makes sense.
I think it'll be on expensive thread count sheets.
Yes, it will.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be in a nice hotel,
And then-
and he's gonna order you all
Champagne.
all the
Yeah.
room service.
Oh yeah. So it'll be a fun night, but he's too cold.
He's too corporate.
He's too cold and corporate for me for day to day. Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's great.
He's
Perfect.
going to be my main man. We are going to live off the lands. We are going to
Oh yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
do it.
live in that cabin.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, for sure.
If I'm thinking about the lifestyle I want,
Yeah.
this is the reason I chose the way I chose, because I do not want to live off the land with Ron Swanson.
Well, at the end of the day, Ron Swanson did end up getting married to Xena the Warrior Princess, and they did end up living in the suburbs. He sold his cabin and lived in the suburbs with her kids. So he ended up being like a suburban dad, and it was very cute.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, this is where my dilemma comes from.
Okay.
Up until that point in Parks and Rec, Ron makes very questionable partner decisions.
Oh yeah.
Where
The
he just
Tammys.
the Tammys, where he just kind of he becomes their personality, like whatever they are, he just kind of like absorbs that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need that in my
That's
life.
a good point.
But when he gets with Xena, the warrior princess, I feel like I need to clarify.
Yes.
Lucy Lawless.
Lucy Lawless, yes. He does kind of change. So maybe it's all about finding the right woman for him.
Yeah.
So
You can
I
fix
think
him.
I'm going.
I will try to fix you.
I think I will do the same. God damn it. Because then I'm like, but would I rather live in New York or the middle of Indiana?
Ugh.
Oh, right.
You know?
I stand by my original statement.
Makes it really hard.
It does.
'Cause
You could get Ron to move into the suburbs, but you're not getting him to like LA or New York.
No.
Yeah.
And Jack Donaghy does have this real, like, he does actually have a bit of a romantic streak when you watch 30 Rock. Like, he falls in love with Edie Falco, and, like, she has to move, and they meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And, like, he does a lot of things like that where I'm like, oh, that's cute. Okay, but I'm going to stand by it. Okay. Ron Swanson's the best. I'm going to marry Ron Swanson. He is just a solid, good guy. He knows how to do fucking everything.
Yeah.
So you'll never have to take your car to the shop. You'll never have to hire anybody to fix the pipes
okay, I have enough
or
money.
absolutely anything ever.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna marry Ron Swanson. That man is gonna take good care of you.
Yeah.
And also, if I had to guess between Ron Swanson and Jack Donaghy, I think Ron Swanson's better in bed. And I think,
he seems like he tries harder.
yeah.
Or he wants. Yeah.
He's going to try hard.
And he has so much stamina, like clearly,
Yeah.
because he can do absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So
probably too much stamina.
I'm gonna, but no, but he's not stopping till you finish. You know that.
Yeah.
With
Honey,
Ron
that's fine.
Swanson.
I'm already done.
So, so I'm going to marry him, and then I'm gonna fuck Jack Donaghy. I think he's just a taste of luxury. I think that's nice. Like a good. You visit New York, you spend a good weekend with Jack.
Yeah.
And I think that's. I think
You
that's
be
good.
friends with Liz Lemon.
Hell yeah. You become friends. You come back. You can be fuck buddies with Jack. You come back to visit. To see Liz,
I stand by my man.
Spend the weekend with Jack. I think that's good. He's gonna put you up in the Four Seasons.
Oh.
He's gonna pay for your flight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
First class.
I think that's the way
Private
to go.
jet.
Nice.
Well, 100.
Yeah, I think if we were doing the actual characters though,
Actors?
actual
Oh, that would
actors,
change
it
everything.
changes everything.
Oh,
doesn't it?
yeah. If
Yeah.
we were doing the
I
actual
would marry
actors, I'm killing Alec
Offerman.
Baldwin.
I'm marrying Offerman, killing Baldwin.
Yeah.
Fucking Steve Carell.
Oh, I'm marrying Steve Carell. all
Yeah, I don't
day.
know. That's
You know what? I'm going to marry Steve Carell just because I don't want to get in between Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally. Like,
there
she
you
might
go.
actually kill me. So,
or join us.
if we could have a thruple, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I
Not
think
saying no to that.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to marry Steve Carell,
That's good. Yep, I'm back to that.
fuck Offerman, and I got to kill Baldwin if we're talking actors.
There we go.
Same.
Yeah. Even though Alec Baldwin, I think, is a comedic genius. I think he is so fucking funny. Like, brilliant. But
he is, but I also think he takes himself too seriously.
way too intense. And also, I really don't want to be in like a legacy family like that. Like these like Hollywood royalty families, they're probably terrible. I don't want any part of that.
Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking too, like Steve Carell talking about like rom-coms and stuff. It put in my head Seeking a Friend for the End of the World.
Oh,
Have you
love
guys
that
seen
movie.
that
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
I love that movie.
So
Who's
good.
the girl in that?
Keira Knightley.
That's right. Yeah.
I love him and Liz Lemon in that date night movie.
Oh
so
yeah,
cute.
it's cute. Yeah. Oh, I just love.
By the way,
I love it.
not Liz Lemon. She's
Tina
got a real
Fey.
name.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, her actual name. It's fine.
it's fine.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Yes. And we're back. Okay. I will kick us off with stories this week.
Okay.
Okay. I needed a date to pass over dinner with my friends. He wore a vest and a newsboy hat, then introduced himself with a bow and a hat flourish.
We just talked about this. Like, what would I do if I can't with that. Oh my God. It's my biggest anxiety gut thing is like when I finally like a guy enough to bring him around like friends. And if they did that,
First of all, when was the last time newsboy hats were in fashion? First of all.
well, extra, read all about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
unless you are in the musical Newsies. I don't want to see it.
I think there's some people who can pull it off. What you cannot pull off is the hat and bow. You cannot. I hate it.
But I mean, even if you can pull off a newsboy hat, for why? Like, once again, like, but why? You know what I mean? Like, even if you look cute, because I do think they look, when I'm watching The Notebook, I'm like, yes, Ryan Gosling looks cute in a newsboy hat. He looks cute. But in the year of our Lord 2019, why are you showing up to anywhere with a newsboy hat
It just
on?
sounds like he has like a kind of like loud personality.
I'm tired
man.
already. I'm already tired. If
Yeah.
it's somebody who can't turn it off, I can't deal.
Yeah, that's me too. I tend to be rather like low key. It's not that I'm like that I really care that much about what people think. And it's different strokes for different folks. Some people like being with loud people.
Oh, yes.
Like big personality
Personalities.
kind of people. And I'm just more like I like to just a
hang out with
subtle
me.
like snarky. No, you're not
You're not like that.
Like that. I don't know how else to describe
No,
it.
it's and this is no shade at all, because we have been called comedians by Harper's Bazaar. So there's that. So it's not. It's absolutely no shade on comedians, but if you've ever hung out with a group of comedians
Performers.
or like yes,
Yeah.
performers who cannot turn it off.
Right.
They're always trying to one up each
on.
other. They're on.
That's what this is.
And there's a lot of actors actually who are like that too, who just
Yep.
like cannot turn it off. And to me, that gets exhausting. Some people thrive on that.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it. So yes, already he's
Coming in
Coming
hot.
hot.
bow and a hat flourish. The only thing that could make this worse is if he kissed the hands of every woman in the room.
I just got chills.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
The night only got worse from there. He refused to eat any of the food because, quote, things on the plate were touching. It was fucking soup. It's soup.
So
It's all touching. That's the point.
That is what soup is.
Oh my God, I'm so confused.
And wouldn't shut his mouth during the 12 minutes of Seder. When it came time for his train home, he purposely missed it so he could stay the night.
Ew.
Ha ha, nope, in all caps. In caps.
Go get a hotel, Buster.
After a movie with uncomfortable levels of hover boob, his hand is just kind of too close to your chest. I convinced my friend to come with me to drive him to the nearest train station. During the ride, he thought this was the best time to tell me he was schizophrenic, but didn't take the medicine because it was the devil.
Oh no, that's frightening.
It's
And
scary.
Not to shame like mental illness or anything like that, but like that's when you're on a first date with somebody. Like it's this is a stranger. This is a stranger, and for like women especially, I went on a first date this week with somebody who was shared some information that it's like.
Yeah,
This makes
I'm
me
not
feel
saying
unsafe.
I'm shaming it at all. It's just you've already exhibited behavior that's made me uncomfortable.
Right.
And now you're telling me you're not taking your medication, and you're not taking your medication because you think your medication is the devil.
Now I'm rereading every true crime
Right.
book in my head. And I'm like, this is how I go, I guess.
It gets worse. So
no.
just guys, sorry already. He tried to hold my hand, saying they were small, and made him feel like a pedophile.
Oh my God.
The night ended with him telling me he was going to shit on the subway and write my name in it.
Oh. Cassie left. Cassie has exited the room.
And
Oh my.
there was no second date.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
I'm glad that
update.
was clarified.
I'm glad that you're alive.
Oh my God.
my
Can you
God.
fucking imagine? Like, oh no. Oh,
What do you even say?
My mouth is so big I could put this whole entire microphone down it.
It's
Cassie,
so bad.
what do you do? You are on a first date with somebody and they tell you, your hands are so small, it makes me feel like a pedophile. What is your response to this?
What a
I'm not the one.
weird,
first of all.
wild thing to say.
I am highly triggered by that
Yeah.
because of my own past experience. So first and foremost,
Yeah.
I'm not the one.
Yeah.
I'm not the one.
That
Like,
is
the
the level of like just
now
mouth
it makes
drop.
that makes that hat tip seem.
Oh,
I know,
mild.
very.
If it had ended at the hat flourish, honestly, and she says that she's like, things got so much worse after that, and I'm like, clearly,
Clearly they did.
Clearly they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
awful.
went off
Christina.
the rail.
Somebody on a first date tells you they're going to shit on the subway and write your name.
I mean, quite frankly, I think it's romantic, personally.
Christina, can you come in here and shut the door, please?
Mom. Literally. I literally
And
would
what do you do? Like, how do you react, like, to that information? Like, because you don't want to do anything that's going to escalate the situation. So
Right.
you're just kind of like, okay.
I feel like my body
That's
went into
fine.
shock. I feel like I'm shaking on the inside.
I
am
know. I'm trying to play the
triggered.
I'm literally
I
doing what you're talking about right now because I'm like, okay, I think I've talked about it on the podcast before where I play the game Consequences. It's a game I made up when I was a kid where you literally try to think out the real life consequences for like something crazy that happens. So like when someone tells you if you're on that date, like what
I mean, you have
consequences?
to. You
Thank
have to
God you had a friend in
play-
the car with you.
You have
Yeah.
to placate them until you get them out of the car. Like,
Yeah.
you have to. I don't see how there's any other way you can handle that. Like, you just
100%.
have to kind of be like, yeah, definitely shit on the subway and write my name in it. That's
awesome.
fine.
And you've got like 911 like queued
Yeah,
up
yeah,
on your
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
my.
So sorry for that one, but
Wowzers. Good Lord. That is actually the worst date. There you go.
Holy
Keegan
shit.
wins.
we've reached the pinnacle.
And
Well, all right, guys, it's been real.
it's been real. We don't need to do
now
this
go ahead
anymore.
and pack this shit up.
That's the worst date. There you go.
I have so many thoughts, and I'm going to move on to my story because I need to get out of this.
Yep.
headspace.
Let's escape.
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 All right. This was an email that we got, and she says, "Please call me Elena in honor of my friend who just ran the New York City Marathon.
Aw, that's
The-
sweet.
The guy's name has been changed to protect the guilty.
Nice.
There I was on a beautiful spring morning. Already love this. I'm already excited. I love
There
the
I
writing
was.
already. Yeah. There I was on a beautiful spring
I'm
morning.
picturing cherry blossoms just
I hear
falling everywhere.
birds.
There's
Innocently-
robins.
Innocently swiping through Tinder when a profile caught my eye. The only photo showed 3 naked bodies snuggled up next to each other, making a little caravan of spooning humans, male, female, male. The bio said that it was 2 guys who wanted to fulfill a woman's fantasy of being with 2 men at once. Naturally, I swiped right. Okay.
All right.
It was, if it was a fake account, I might get a good story out of it, out of toying with them.
Yep.
And if it was real, I'd have an even better story.
Yeah.
I hopped on a flight for a business trip, and then when I landed, I had a Tinder notification, new match. We started messaging, and whoever was running the profile said he was one of the 2 guys. I was full of questions. How do you guys know each other? How long have you been recruiting random women for threesomes. How did the two dudes have the first conversation about this whole endeavor? I didn't get the answers to all my questions, but they invited me to follow their private Instagram account to get a quote taste.
I don't think
of
that
what
that's
they were into.
too strange that like men have had that conversation together about like, yeah, what if we had a girl? Like, I don't think that's that weird. No.
I am curious to know the conversation.
I
I like how
know.
that start. Like it's drunken night, and they're like, it'd be fucking hot.
Yeah.
If I saw your dick and my dick together.
With vagina.
Yeah, just I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, sorry. That there it was. Photos of women wearing ball gags, photos of women with their hands tied, and definitely photos of two dicks, two separate individual ethnically diverse dicks. Maybe this was real after all. The guy then says he'll send me a photo of him and his friend so that I can decide whether they're my type and whether I want to meet up. He sends me a photo of himself. Cool. Then he sends me a photo of his friend. And it's definitely, unquestionably, beyond a doubt, a photo of my ex.
Oh, no.
Before losing my
Cassie.
entire mind, I
Cassie.
stopped to think, yes. It's not me. I'm not telling this.
No.
It's not me.
I'm just thinking.
yeah,
I'm like, oh my God.
Did you write this? No.
No, I know, right?
Yeah.
Did I write this? Oh God.
Before losing my entire mind, I stopped to think, is there a way I can test whether my ex is really the other guy? Is it possible that someone merely swiped his photo online? Wouldn't be the first time. I ask what their names are, and he says, you can call me Daddy, and my friend is Uncle Robert.
Absolutely fucking not. I'm sorry.
Uncle?
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
Robert is definitely, unquestionably, beyond a doubt, the name of my ex.
Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Okay. Daddy,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's whatever.
I hate it.
Uncle?
Ugh.
Oh.
I hate it.
Ew.
I hate it.
I mean, it's all bad, but
No.
at least one has been like, I've seen that people do that, whatever.
I
But
hate
like
it.
the other thing is so fucking weird.
You can't even say it. It's horrible. I hate it. I do a cross reference back to the dick pics, but it's unclear whether it's really my ex. I decide to make one last attempt to confirm it's him. I say, I know that you're interested in me, but what about Uncle Robert? I'll only meet up with you guys. Oh, I can't. Ugh. I can only meet up with you guys if you send my pictures to Uncle Robert and see if he likes me too. Daddy agrees. And then for the next
Oh my
24
God.
hours, crickets. The following day, I get a message from Daddy. Why didn't you tell me that you knew Robert? Now I am screaming. What I would have given to be sharing this story with my girlfriends
my
at a bar.
God.
Instead, I'm alone at a hotel hundreds of miles away from home. I could not believe it was my ex. We had only dated loosely for a few months, but this mofo had told me repeatedly that I was the only woman he was sleeping with, that he really wanted us to work, and even tried to persuade me into raw dogging it. Absolute goddamn nerve. Ugh. I don't give a flying flamingo what your sexual desires, fantasies, or habits are, as long as everyone involved is consenting adult.
Exactly.
Have at it.
That is correct.
Yes. But I have no doubt that he was carrying on this side project the whole time we were sleeping with each other.
Yeah, just
100.
go back and look at the Instagram account. That's all you got to do.
She's like, in case you were wondering, I did not go through with the threesome. Fast forward to the fall. I matched with a cute guy on Bumble, and we decided to meet up at a local bar. I walk into the bar and see my date, but as I turn the corner, I see that sitting right next to him is Uncle Robert.
What the fuck?
I have no idea what to say or do, so I just sit down next to them immediately. Robert pulls me aside and says he has to talk to me. I think surely he's going to explain why he's here and address the awkwardness of the Uncle Robert situation. But no, he tells me that he has recently knocked up this chick and has been sleeping with and is going to be a father. I congratulate him, and
This is my business. Why?
right, exactly. And return to my seat. My date looks at Robert like he's crazy and says, what is wrong with you? Why are you telling this woman you don't know your personal business? Several things become clear. One, my date and Robert are definitely friends. Two, my date doesn't know the history with Robert and I. 3, I am definitely not going to be the one to reveal the truth. Robert remains on our date for the rest of the fucking night.
Oh my
We drink at the
God.
bar. Robert's there. We go to the lounge. Robert's there. We catch an Uber back to my date's place. Robert is there.
But why? I'm
Given-
so confused.
I'm so confused.
Given the
Why
history
didn't the
here-
date say, like, get the fuck out, dude? But, like, you're
Right.
cock blocking me.
Given the history here, I start to wonder, am I being set up for a threesome? Is my date the new daddy?
I think
Is this
so.
real life?
Yeah.
Thankfully, my date clarified that hell no, this was not going to be a threesome. Robert had just had to park it in his date's in my date's garage, and he drove off as I went into my date's place for the night of a one-on-one.
Okay, but time out. Why the fuck wouldn't your date clarify this to you? Like,
Right.
why would he allow this entire time to happen without saying, he's just going to have dinner with us because I got to get him back to his car?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you say that? Like, that's so fucking weird.
It is weird.
It's so fucking weird. If there's a moral to this story, it's a good reminder to wrap it up.
Amen.
Use those condoms, ladies, because you'll never really know whether the guy you're dating is having BDSM threesomes with his friend and a whole bunch of random women.
Oh my God.
She says, P.S. I love hearing y'all read aloud listeners' reactions to the podcast. It's a source of comfort and joy and laughter for me. And I love knowing that so many people out there feel the same way. And like so many of my fellow listeners, I am always looking for opportunities to recommend the podcast to friends. You've created something special, and I hope you're so proud of all your work.
Thank
Aw,
you.
Yay.
That story is
Wild. Jesus.
I've swiped right on a couple like adventurous ones, but
Yeah.
the thing is like when they don't give you the pictures or whatever on some of these, like, you know, like, hey, like we're into freaky stuff. When you finally do get the pictures, like,
yeah,
I'm not always. I haven't found one where I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so suspicious of that online. Like, if it happened naturally, like organically in life, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like, for some reason, when it's online, I'm like, I don't trust you motherfuckers at all.
right. No, trust no bish for reals though. Okay,
Oh God.
this is my Everest.
Oh my God. I'm nervous.
Do not know if I will be able to make it through the story.
Oh, no. This is already a great episode. Oh my God.
I'm not going to tell you the title.
Okay.
I did find it on Reddit, and it is. I'm just going to dive in.
Okay.
It was 2010. I was 17, and I asked the girl of my dreams to go see Paranormal Activity 2 with me that Friday night.
Mhm. Sounds like 2010.
She said, I've been wanting to see it. I love the first one. Pick me up at 5. I was shocked. So I arrived at 5. I knocked on the door of her parents' house, and here comes this beautiful, petite, long black hair girl, skin tight jeans and a tight black Deftones shirt on. She had curves like a mountain road and black eyeliner to light up those stunning green eyes.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
Are you with me so
I'm
far?
so
He's
with you.
smitten.
So I quickly forget about bringing her to McDonald's, and instead I take her to Applebee's.
Oh, yep, that's right. You got to step it up. You need to sit down for this
Like,
meal.
oh, honey, you are
You're
not
like,
McDonald's.
You are not McDonald's.
You are
Applebee's.
You are half price app material. Let's do it.
With what little money I had, it was going to be worth spending it just so maybe I could get into her pants that night. This 17-year-old boy.
You're 17.
Go for it.
Honestly, yeah. I went on a date whenever I was like 16 where they took me to Chili's and I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's what happens when you're a teenager.
Exactly. We get seated. She orders a quesadilla. And for me, I get spicy grilled chicken smoked in cedar.
Have we learned nothing? Stay away from the spicy foods, gentlemen.
Especially if you're like all anxious on a date. But we start off talking about our classes and on to music. My heart skipped beats when I made eye contact and I kept stuttering. She asked why I never tried talking to her because she always thought I was cute. She barely ate her expensive meal while I stuffed my face and ate every single crumb of the spicy, greasy chicken.
Oh
no.
He's gonna write your name in poop on the subway.
Oh, no.
We then head off to the movie theater. I kept silently burping, and my stomach was a little funny feeling.
Oh, no.
We get seated in the very back where it's nice and dark and not a damn person sits up there with us. How lucky is that?
Oh, no.
The movie starts up and the first scary scene, she goes, "Oh my God," and cuddles up to me. I wrapped my arm around her and she laid her head on my chest, trying my best to calm down my heartbeat and tame my rock hard boner. She starts
17.
She starts lightly rubbing circles on my leg with her finger, and I start softly rubbing her back and playing with her hair, planning in my head how I'm going to make my way to rubbing her thighs.
This is so
17.
teenagery.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
All of a sudden, I get this powerful, awful feeling in my stomach.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
Like a balloon is being inflated inside me with intense pressure.
Oh, no.
I had the sudden, strong urge to fart.
Oh,
No. And no one's around you. You can't blame it on anybody.
With my butt cheeks pushed together, I start to sweat and breathe heavy, like I was going into labor.
oh.
After-
What? Excuse yourself. You need to excuse yourself right now.
Oh, no.
After a few minutes, I was praying to God to make it go away, begging in my mind for the pain to leave me. I had to release this demon from within. It had overpowered me and I can no longer control it. The scene where the lady is sitting in the kitchen and the cabinets fly open made me jump, and there it went.
Oh, no.
Not just a fart, but a burst of warm liquid squirting out of my
Oh, my God. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh my God. And squeezing my butt cheeks together just made it sound higher pitch. I froze and my face turned numb. What am I going to do? I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. I'm hiding too.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Keegan has completely hoodied herself. She cannot.
She must not have heard it because she jumped worse than I did and was catching her breath.
Whoa.
If I get up, will it ooze down my legs and onto the floor? If I just sit here, will it leak through my jeans and stain the seat? I had to act now. My mind was racing. So I sit there for a minute thinking, what the hell am I going to do? And then an awful death smell hits
I was
my
going to say the smell's coming.
You know
You
it's
can't sit there.
coming.
You need to act quicker than that. What were you doing, sir?
Go,
Oh
go.
my God.
A guy a few rows in front of us turns to his friend and says, "Dude, did you just shit?"
Oh, I hate
He
it.
said, "God damn, it wasn't me," and starts gagging. If I go to the bathroom, she'll obviously know it was me. I'm
no.
so screwed. And then I come up with this.
She knows already. Listen, if people in rows ahead of you are smelling that shit,
Yeah.
she's sitting next to you. She knows. She knows. And this is my nightmare.
I
Yes.
hate.
Then I come up with, "Oh, whatever that smell is making me sick. I'll be right back."
But then you leave and it's gone.
As soon as I stand up, I feel it
No.
run down both my legs.
God.
I walk out and go open the bathroom door to see an overcrowded bathroom.
No.
I walk back out and see across the hall one that says employees only. I rush in there and take my jeans off to see how bad the damage was, only to discover it had dripped down into my socks and my legs were brown all over. I take my boxers off and there's a bunch of poop in there, so I toss them in the toilet. I check
No,
under
the toilet. No, sir. Oh my God. You throw that shit in the garbage. Oh my
check
God.
under the sink, and this is what I have to work with: a single can of Lysol and tons of toilet paper. I started shoving toilet paper into my jeans. And started jumping up and down on them to soak up the poop inside. I wipe off my legs with
God.
water and soap. I'm literally, I can't even breathe right now. I toss my poopy socks into the toilet and flush.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm furious.
These employees are gonna fucking lose it.
Oh my god.
Why? This is the difference between boys and girls because we've been
Exactly.
told from the beginning of time,
Don't
like, don't
flush-
put your fucking pads or
Or
tampons
tampons.
in the toilet because you're gonna clog it. It's not meant to.
Oh.
I can't.
What
I can't
happens
deal.
next? I turn around to grab the Lysol and notice water covering the entire floor under my feet. That he clogged the toilet.
And his jeans are down there.
His jeans are down there. I quickly pick up my jeans and they were already soaked. Fuck me. I start
I'm gonna
praying to
have
God.
to say that this is the one time where it's okay to just leave your day.
leave.
Just
Bye.
leave,
Just
and
leave.
then tell her, "I'm sorry, I got a phone
really
call. I got really sick, or there's a family emergency. I had to leave." Like that would be better than whatever the fuck is about to happen.
I know it is. Oh no.
I start praying to God, Jesus, Buddha, even Satan to help me. I was so fucked. I sprayed Lysol into my jeans and started trying to blow dry them.
Can you imagine the fucking stench of Lysol
and hot
jeans?
shit. He's blow drying his shit jeans.
in an employee bathroom that he's standing in barefoot while it's fucking toilet overflowing from his shit socks and his shit boxers.
Oh my god.
So it's overflowing shit too. So it's like it's like shit lava. I hate this so much. Like so much. Like so much.
Oh my god.
This is taking too damn long. Hannah's gonna know something is wrong. Hannah knows.
Hannah knows
Hannah
already.
Hannah
sir.
knows everything.
Sir.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you also you didn't leave that seat pristine when you
No.
got up. If you were sitting in your shit jeans for like long enough for the smell to emanate throughout the theater, that theater is going to be evacuated by the time you get back.
Oh
I
my
can't.
They're gonna have to call the CDC, dude. That's
Oh,
fucking
not
terrible.
goddamn 1-1.
I hear a loud knock on the door and ignore it. Then the doorknob starts to shake. This guy is literally standing there, naked, like
Porky Pig in it. Because he has no boxers on.
no socks.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my god. The doorknob starts to shake and louder knocking. I barely open it and the door flies open. A guy in a red polo that said manager on it stood there.
no.
He said,
Guys.
"Is there a problem with the customer bathroom, young man?"
Guys,
So
I have never felt more like anxious about someone else's situation than I do right now. Like
This
if
fucking
this-
17-year-old kid.
I we need to end it all. Like if that was me at 17.
I'd move to another
Oh,
state.
we're done. I'm never going back to school.
Nope, I moved to
Literally,
another state.
ever.
Ever. Your senior year is ruined. Honestly.
Ruined.
Honestly. So I quickly put on my jeans and shoes and walk out and feel my phone vibrate. I open it and Hannah texts me asking if I was okay. I go back into the movie theater.
No, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. And walk up to our row and sit back down. Sit down in the seat you just ugh,
In your
and your wet jeans.
Your wet
Jeans are
Lysol
wet.
poop jeans.
The smell. The smell. The smell must just be.
You should have just left that day. Honestly,
She starts to cough and quickly removes my arm and says, "Can you sit at the end of the row or something?" So I get up and sit at the very end of the row, thinking about how this went from the best night of my life to how I'm going to kill the person that cooked my meal. With blue balls, I start crying and try watching the movie. I look over when the movie ended and notice she's gone. I was made fun of for the rest of the year for that night.
Oh no.
Haven't eaten at Applebee's ever again and hope the bastard that made that food burns in hell. Every date I went on from then, I drank a half bottle of Pepto-Bismol just before. Fuck you, Applebee's.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's Everest. Dude, that whole shenanigans. And it's just like that panic moment where something so terrible has happened and he literally like escalated.
I have been married for almost 15 years. If I shit my pants accidentally at the movie theater with Chris, I would leave.
I have never wanted
Oh
a
my
camera to be in here so badly
Oh.
because
I'm simultaneously cold and sweating at the same time.
Cassie and I full just hoods up, hoods are up.
I mean,
I have never felt more upset.
I literally cried through that
Today's
whole
stories.
story. I couldn't. Oh my God.
Oh dear.
That is a shame receipt.
You take that to the grave. To the grave.
This shame receipt will be with him no matter what.
Oh, he'll
Like,
be on his
Deathbed. And he'll be like, Applebee's.
Yeah, you've got full on PTSD every time you drive past an Applebee's. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh. Okay. Whoa. I don't know how to transition. I do not
I don't
know
think
how to
you can.
transition.
I think that
out
might
of
have been the crazy in love.
Yeah, I think we can just call it a day, actually.
Oh man.
Whoa. Okay, so I am going to talk about a case that we all know about.
Okay.
Everybody
Okay.
knows about this. I mean, if you're in the United States, you've heard about this case for sure. It was everywhere. It was all over social media. And a lot has been made about it. There's an HBO documentary about it.
You're doing fucking Lacey Peterson, aren't
I'm
you?
not. I'm not.
Oh, Christmas.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
That one's very involved. This one is very involved. I have
Are you doing
pages
Are you doing
of
my white
notes.
elephant? Jodi Arias.
Nope, not
Oh,
Jodi
shit.
Arias.
Huh?
Okay, so
Robert.
I am going to be doing the death of Conrad Roy. Now, that might not sound familiar to you yet, but it will as soon as I start talking about this story.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go ahead and give a trigger warning at the top of this episode. It has a lot to do. We're going to talk a lot about anxiety and depression and suicide. Okay. So,
I know this story. Okay.
on the morning of July 13th, 2014, Conrad Roy's parents report him missing after he failed to come home the night before. So he is an 18-year-old. He's recently, just a couple months earlier, he graduated high school. So he had gone out to a friend's house, is what he told his mom, and told her he wouldn't be home for dinner, but he would be home later that night. So when he didn't get home in the morning, she was worried. It was like 5 a.m. She woke up. She found out he wasn't there. So they're driving all over kind of looking for him, calling friends. They can't find him. So by the time it comes like later in the morning, they finally call and they say like, you know, I need to report my son missing. So it's not long before they locate Conrad's truck in the back of a Kmart parking lot. Conrad is unconscious in the driver's seat, and it quickly becomes clear that he is dead. And the authorities at the scene determine that Conrad died by suicide via acute carbon monoxide intoxication. He was there by himself. The car was locked. There is no other conclusion. He died by suicide. So, you know, case closed pretty much. So Conrad left behind a journal containing goodbye letters to his family members and some of his friends, along with passwords to his phone and laptop. So this was a thing that clearly he had planned out. There are goodbye letters to each member of his family, as well as a handful of friends, you know, and everything that they needed to access all of his electronics. So again, clearly this is somebody who's killed himself. Conrad's phone was found beside him, and it was dead in the truck. And police debated about whether or not to take the phone because, again, this was clearly a suicide. There wasn't a lot of investigation that needed to happen outside of why would an 18-year-old kill themselves. Like, so in the end, they did decide to take the phone, but it was a thing that they weren't really anticipating on having done. Now, Conrad had had mental health problems in the past. When his parents divorced when he was 16, he started manifesting signs of severe anxiety and depression. He said that he was suffering from racing thoughts, memory loss, depressive thoughts. His grades began to slip, and so they put him on medication. And by the time he was 17, he had been checked in and out of several psychiatric facilities suffering from depression. And after checking out of one of those facilities, he had attempted suicide by swallowing a bottle of cough syrup. So this was something that had happened several times in the past. He'd actually attempted suicide several times. But after that last suicide attempt, things seemed to get better for him. He graduated high school, he got a scholarship to college, and he had even earned his captain's license at the age of 18. His family worked in tugboats, so he'd been on boats his whole life. He's Conrad Roy III, so Conrad, his dad, and Conrad, his grandfather, they all worked on boats. So at 18, very young age to get his captain's license. So things looked pretty good for him at this point, and his family really thought that he was recovering. Yeah. They said that he seemed happy. He seemed happy that day. They'd gone to the beach. He took his sisters out for ice cream. There was no reason that they should be suspicious, you know. But around this time when he was graduating high school and everything seemed really good for him, about a month before his death in June, almost a month to the day before his death, he had recorded a video diary entry where he was talking about his social anxiety and how it's really heartbreaking to watch. Like when you watch the HBO documentary, which I didn't quite finish, but I was able to watch most of it.
And what is it called again? It's
I Love You Now Die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you watch it, they show you that video, and it's really hard to watch because you're looking at this kid that you know a month later is gone. And like that's always very eerie for me. It's a very eerie like thing to see. And it's also really hard as somebody who suffers from both anxiety and depression. It's hard to watch somebody talk about how they're smart and they're capable and they don't understand why they can't just not feel like this, and that they want to get better, and they're going to get better, and there are all these things that they can do to get better, but they just can't be happy, and they don't know why they can't be happy. And
it is hard, and because we've all struggled with it. I remember when we were talking about my anxiety, and I was in the Vegas airport, and like I'm gonna have an anxiety attack, and my brain knows, like there's this part of your brain that's like, I know there's nothing wrong. I know I'm fine. Like,
right. I know. And it's a very hard thing to try and explain to people when they ask, like, why are you feeling like this? And you have to be like, I don't know why, because I know it's irrational. No. Like in almost every way, like I know it's irrational. And he talks about how like he knows he has a good life. He knows he has a good family. Yeah. Like there's no reason why he should be feeling like this. And he goes on to say that he just thinks he's differently wired. And that's all that he can come down to is just like, I'm just differently wired from everybody else. But you're watching somebody who's clearly in pain but wants to get better, it seems like, you know. And so all of this is basically just to say that police had no reason to suspect that there was anything strange. It's, you know, a clearly depressed teenager. So when they so they charged his phone, they unlocked it, they opened it, and that's when the case took a turn because all of the messages were deleted on his phone except for one thread. There was only one thread open on his phone, and it was between him and someone named Michelle Carter. So let's talk about Michelle Carter. Michelle Carter was a 17-year-old from the neighboring town of Plainville, Massachusetts. And when you watch this documentary, man, the accents.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow. So many like Boston, Massachusetts style like accents. So she was voted most likely to brighten your day in her yearbook at her local high school. She was considered respectful and smart. She had met Conrad while both of the teens, it's kind of like a crazy random happenstance that they even met each other because they were both vacationing in Florida. Conrad's aunt had a home in Florida, a vacation home, and Michelle's grandparents had a home there. And so her grandparents and his aunt were friends. And so they made the introduction 2 years before to the teens. And they hit it off really quickly. It's kind of cute to see like they rode their bikes down to the beach together. And like kind of from that moment on, they never stopped communicating. And they lived only an hour apart, but they met in person no more than 5 times during their 2-year relationship, to the point where his parents didn't, like when they were calling friends looking for Conrad, they didn't think to call her. Yeah. Because they didn't know, like, even though they kind of considered each other boyfriend, girlfriend, the parents had no way of knowing that they had a relationship.
Yeah.
because it was almost exclusively via text message. And that's what's so interesting about this case is it's such a thoroughly modern story. And when you look at the text messages, because they show them to you in the documentary, it's impossible not to see that these are teenagers. Like, they are children.
Yeah.
And it feels like they are children, the way that they talk to each other and communicate.
Yeah.
And so when they're examining his phone and they're able to get the records on his phone, they see that although they've only seen each other about 5 times in person over the last 2 years, they communicated so constantly that they exchanged over 60,000 pieces of correspondence.
Wow.
So text messages, calls, voicemails, private messages on social media, 60,000.
Wow.
It's a ton. So, so around 10 p.m. on the day that Conrad died, Conrad's sister Camden got a text message from Michelle saying, you know, I'm worried about Conrad. I don't know where he is. Like, just kind of like, hey, just let me know if you hear from him because I'm not hearing from him. And the mother thought that that was strange, again, because she didn't know her.
Right.
You know,
I didn't know you should be hearing from him.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are you?
Yeah. And so once the news comes about Conrad's death, Michelle actually ends up texting his mom and offering, you know, consolation, condolences. She's telling him, and the mom actually says, like, it was very, very comforting. And I actually thanked her for being such a good friend to him because she was telling me all these things that Conrad had said about me, you know, about how much he loved me and like all of these things.
She even thanked her parents for raising such a
Yes.
like sweet, caring daughter.
Yeah. And you know, it's because she read Conrad's letter to Michelle in his journal, where he was like, I love you. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful person. So she, you know, was like, okay, I didn't know about this relationship, but clearly they had some kind of very strong bond, you know? So, they, you know, communicated a lot and everything seemed good between them. But So weeks after Conrad's death, Michelle actually reaches out to the family and she says she wants to raise awareness for suicide prevention. So she organizes a fundraiser, a softball tournament, because she played softball, I think, and Conrad played baseball. And she called it Homers for Conrad. And she did this at her local high school, I think. And his family members were very touched and impressed. And this is whenever she actually went up to, the mother of Conrad actually went up to Michelle's parents and said, you must be so proud of her, or the aunt, somebody in his family did. And they were like, you must be so proud of her for being able to arrange this. They were all impressed that she was able to do this. Now, there is just one like little weird thing that I think one of the cousins ended up coming up during the trial and saying, like, well, I found it really strange because, yes, she arranged this thing, but she did it in her town of Plainview, which was an hour away. And whenever I asked her, like, why don't you do this here where all of his family and friends are, where he was from, you can read the text messages and it is so like cringy and weird where she's like, I can't do it there. I have to do it here. I know everyone I know is here, but kind of making it about herself and being like, are you trying to take my idea? Ha, like LOL about this thing, you know, and that it struck him as very strange.
Yeah.
So, what no one knows at this point, so during the Homers for Conrad event, was that police had uncovered text messages on Conrad's phone. And they were tailing Michelle at this event. So they actually went and they were watching her. And what they found on Conrad's phone, this is shocking. Like, I will say, you know, we're going to have a debate about this at the end, for sure, I'm certain, and probably throughout. And I have my own feelings about this case. But what I will say is when I actually opened, you can find them all online. You can find the correspondence, not just from the moments in which he was actively dying, but you can also find the correspondence throughout the entire day. And what I will say about it is shocking. Like, it is truly hard to like read. It is horrifying. And I can totally see how reading these messages, it would be very difficult not to be like, you have to hold her responsible criminally because like
Right.
okay, so I'm gonna get to it. So literally she starts asking him from 4 a.m. on the 12th. So I think he died on the 13th. Is that right? Yeah, he died on the 13th. And she starts asking around 4 a.m. on the 12th, why haven't you done it yet? So she wrote to him, you can't think about it. You just have to do it. You said you were going to do it. Like, I don't get why you aren't. And he says, I don't get it either. I don't know. And she says, so I guess you aren't going to do it then. I'm just really confused. Like, you were so ready and determined. And he says, I'm going to eventually. And then this is such a hard thing to read because I think it's such a insight into his mental state at this time.
Right.
He wrote over and over again, like I'll show you this whole section right here.
Oh my God.
He wrote over and over again, I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up. I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up over and over and over.
Wow.
And so she says, no, you're not, Conrad. Last night was it. You keep pushing it off. You say you'll do it, but you never do. It's always going to be that way if you don't take action. You're just making it harder on yourself by pushing it off. You have to do it now. Do you want to do it now? Like, and over and over to the point where he says, I'm going to do it today. And she says, do you promise? He says, I promise, babe. I have to now. And she says, like right now? And he says, where do I go? And she says, you can't break a promise. Just go to a quiet parking lot or something. And he says, okay. And she says, go somewhere you know you won't get caught. You can find a place I know you can. Are you doing it now? Like over and over again. Like honestly, it's so persistent that she's almost demanding that he do it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
and it goes on and on like this. Like you can honestly, you can read the whole thing and it's so like message after message after message of this all day long. And so after reviewing the information and speaking to Michelle, police get an arrest warrant for Michelle for involuntary manslaughter. And on February 5th, 2015, she's arrested. And later that day, she's released on bail. And the text messages get released to the media and they go fucking
wild.
Yeah.
bananas.
Yeah.
That's why like this was everywhere. Like everyone was talking about this. Nancy Grace, this was like her fucking like Super Bowl. She was
Oh, yeah.
God, that
going insane. I fucking hate
woman.
that woman so much. But she was like, you know, running with this. Everybody was like this. I remember it because we're in all these like true crime groups and things. And like, I remember feeling weird about it even then because you read these messages and you have a visceral emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Of course you do. But then you remember that this is a 17-year-old and you're looking at full grown adults being like, fuck this harpy cunt bitch. Like people went insane about this.
I think for me, well, and I don't want to jump the gun, but it was the final messages. I think that really got her.
Well, okay, yeah, we'll get to that.
okay.
We'll get to that. So I think it's not the messages to him because at the end of it, the final messages to him are really like, Conrad, are you there? Are you there? Like, please respond to me. Those are the messages, the final messages to him. But I think the message that ended up actually getting her that made everyone the most upset was not a message to Conrad. It was a message to a friend that she sent later because she said, his death is my fault. Like, honestly, I could have stopped him. I was on the phone with him and he got out of the car because it was working and he got scared and I fucking told him to get back in. So the investigators had seen that there had been a phone call at the very end of Conrad's life for about 45 minutes. And they didn't know what this phone call was. There was no way to kind of like figure out what they were talking about. So then when they got the warrant for her phone and they got her messages, they saw that she had sent that to a friend of hers. And so that's the thing.
That clinched it.
That's what clinched it for everybody was that he had decided to get out of the car and she told him to get back in the car. So
yeah, it's absolutely her fault.
I tend to agree.
So she was on the phone with him for about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And she heard him coughing. She heard his final breaths.
Oh my God. Chills.
To me, it's one thing to get to that point, but he gets out of the car and you're on the phone. How can you?
I get it that you're 17, but like I don't know. Like, I got consequences by that point. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing with someone else's life.
Yeah.
Ending someone's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the defense argues that there is no law that criminalizes encouragement of suicide in Massachusetts, and that this could set a dangerous precedent since Michelle was not physically there and did not force Conrad to kill himself. So they contend that her actions are reprehensible but not illegal. And this is where things start getting murky, because it's just kind of like the thought crimes one that you did, where it's like he's arguing to them. He's trying to get the case dismissed, basically, because they are trying to push a manslaughter charge, not a criminal negligence charge, a manslaughter charge, murder charge. Yeah. And he argues that if she had told him, if she had been present physically and he got out of the car and she had a gun and said, get back in the car, or do this, or I'm going to do this, or threatened him in any way physically, that she could then be held responsible. But there is no law in Massachusetts that's saying that this, because at the end of the day, this was a suicidal teen who purchased the generator himself, who drove himself there, and had free will to stop himself.
He may have committed suicide on his own, but he also may not have, and now we'll never get to know. You know what I mean?
Right. But I can honestly see how, like,
I see what they're saying about the criminal negligence, though. It does what matches best, and like you said,
it does set a precedent that is scary to start saying that teenagers who are texting each other, like, where, at what point, like, where's the boundary between saying, like, I hate you, I want you to die, I want you to kill yourself, and then they kill themselves. At what point are you responsible or not responsible?
Well, I mean, look at the suicide rates in teens and how much they have skyrocketed
and
since social
male teens
media
as well, like especially actually.
Because that is happening, because you have people
cyberbullying
and stuff like that. So could we start prosecuting cyberbullies? Because that's the thing, though. I'm really I get that it's a dangerous precedent, but like, your fucking words have consequences. Yeah. Your words matter to people, and your words hurt people. And
so hold on to that, though. Hold on to that.
All right.
Because as we move through this, I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay.
So, he fails to get the case dismissed, right? And so they move forward and they allow the defense pushes. They're like, okay, well, if we're going to move forward with a case, then we want Conrad's medical records to be released into evidence, because it showed that he had been talking about suicide for years.
Sure. Before she even existed.
Before he even knew her. And Michelle at this point waives her right to a trial by jury. And she's like, I'm going to just
put my hands on the judge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the prosecution contends that Michelle, her motivation to kill Conrad was attention, that she wanted the attention. And it quickly becomes clear that she had no friends. No friends. They call a bunch. How does
somebody who has no friends get voted most likely to make people smile?
Well, she had in-school friends. And this is, I will say, look, I will say, watching the documentary, just remembering what it was like to be a teenage girl, this was hard to watch, because they were calling these girls to the stand and they were all saying, well, she was an in-school friend. And they were like, well, did she ever ask you to hang out outside? All the time. Like, she was desperate for friends, and she was texting these people all the time to a clingy level. Like, I understand why they didn't want to have her around, but she was begging them to hang out with her, basically, like begging them to hang out with her. And she was also severely bulimic at this point, so further isolated and self-harming. So it was just this weird kind of like whirlwind thing. And so the prosecution is saying she would do anything to get their attention. Like, she wanted their attention so badly. She wanted friends. And to their point, there were times like before his death where she kind of tested the waters in that she would be texting her friends and be like, I don't know where Conrad is. I'm so worried about him. He's so suicidal. Like, can you just come over and be with me because I'm so scared, like I'm nervous about my boyfriend. And so they would come over, but in the meantime, she's texting Conrad at the same time. So it's not like he's really gone, but she wanted to see what kind of response she would get.
Right.
And she, you know, it went so far as to ask him like if his last Twitter tweet could be about her, and stuff. And like as soon as he died, she was like all over her social media, kind of talking about it.
Oh God.
Oh, it's gross. It's
my
gross.
Stomach.
So calculated, and that's the thing that's hard to overlook here.
So you guys have a great overview. To me, honestly, the testing it out beforehand is the thing that's the most damaging. Like, I think that's the most damning. But you have a good overview of the prosecution. Okay. Right. Let's do an overview of the defense. Okay. So the defense calls Dr. Peter Breggin to the stand, and he's their expert witness. And he concludes that the medication that Conrad was on contributed to his ideations of suicide. It was one of the side effects of the medication that he was on, but he says that it contributed to it, but it wasn't an overwhelming factor. But he then introduces text between Conrad's mother and Michelle, in which Conrad's mother tells Michelle that she feels guilty for not keeping Conrad away from his dad's side of the family, and that she believes that they, quote, have blood on their hands because months before Conrad's death, his father was arrested because he beat Conrad so badly he had a concussion. So they were like, the mom was like, that side of the family is toxic. I think they contributed to his ideas of suicide. Michelle was also...
Brain injuries don't help.
Michelle was also taking psychiatric drugs, and she had been taking psychiatric drugs from the time that she was 14. So she was suffering from mental health issues as well, taking psychiatric drugs. And she was bulimic, and the combination of being bulimic and taking psychiatric drugs, whenever one of the side effects is suicide, it exacerbates those side effects. So she was having massive depressive episodes as well. And months after starting on Zoloft, actually tried to kill herself, and like by hanging herself. And her and Conrad had conversations, like full conversations about this, right? So it's at this point that Conrad starts telling Michelle that he wants to kill himself. Voices are telling him to kill himself. He feels like this is something that he has to do, et cetera, et cetera. And this is some years before his death. It's like the year and a half before his death. The defense points out that Conrad had tried to kill himself at least 4 times. And every time he would tell Michelle about his experience, he overdosed on acetaminophen so badly that he almost needed a liver transplant. And he had pages and pages of Google searches about ways to die. And each time he goes to Michelle and he's basically like, this didn't work. I'll try this next time. So he's putting all of this on her. And so she has 2 years of him constantly saying, I want to die. There's nothing that can help me. Nothing's going to help me. Telling her that he sees the devil. The devil is telling him to kill people.
So in her mind, she's just helping him complete a goal.
So that's kind of what the defense is saying. So about 2 weeks before his death, he messaged her and said, quote, there's nothing anyone can do for me that's going to make me want to live. It's very bad to hear, but I want to let you know truthfully. And he suggests that they go out like Romeo and Juliet. And she responds, no, we're not dying. I don't want to die. Like, I don't want you to die.
Question. How does this differ from somebody who's suffering from maybe cancer and assisted suicide? Assisted suicide is illegal. And so therefore, I do think there is a precedence here.
I don't think so, because assisted suicide is different. I think the laws are different. I don't think that it would be an assisted suicide if someone wanted to die and you just said, okay, go ahead. I think you have to be there and actually assist their death. Like, I don't think it's the same. But so,
oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just saying, it kind of reminds me of the story about that you did tell, the one that's kind of heartwarming one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the one from Criminal.
Right. I mean, yes, my feelings in general, which is not the right time to talk about that. But I mean, my feelings in general are, if you are in, that woman was in a lot of physical pain, and that you should have the right to control what happens to you at that point.
But I mean, I could easily see how somebody could look at this after 2 years of being mentally also in their own headspace. I'm just saying, like, I can almost see this argument as like, this person is maybe in a physical pain.
It's clear to me in their text exchanges that these were two mentally ill children talking to each other. And I also understand she was very alone and isolated, and this was one of the only people in her life. And some of the text messages, they actually had a witness who said that they believed, when reading all of their exchanges over the last 2 years, that it was actually Conrad who was in control of that relationship. And he kind of threatened to withhold his love from her if she told anybody. He made her promise not to tell anyone that he wanted to kill himself. And in that way, you know, the defense is arguing that this is somebody who was worn down, like years and years. She's also on medication, you know, that's fucking with her brain. And then there's the added component, and Christina, you and I were just talking about this in a kind of a different way, but you have to take into account also that their relationship was completely via text message, and it is not reality. Like, the conversations that you're having via text aren't always, they don't feel as real. You know what I mean?
No,
necessarily.
Actually, there's an article I just read in Psychology Today that proves that. There's this 36 questions that have been developed scientifically to increase your connection with somebody. Like, it's supposed to be like the love test. You go through this with somebody and you do it. It has to be in person, because they tried it over text, and it doesn't work. Your feelings of like love, compatibility, all that stuff, it doesn't work. It does almost on the phone. You can get close to that, but it's not as much in person.
Right.
It's like not there at all through text. And that's what I was talking about too, when on Facebook, when I'm like, I have this great connection with somebody, that textual chemistry. Thanks, Allison, for that one. And I'm fucking frightened it's not going to be there in person, you know?
And I think they were too, because they, on more than one occasion, very often in their text conversations, they would like almost meet up and then not meet up. And like, you know, there was kind of that element of it as well. But so he's sending her these things like, I want to go out like Romeo and Juliet. I want to do all these things. I want to die. I want to die. I want to die. And in the beginning, or for the first year and a half that they're talking to each other, her response is always like, she literally texted him and said, the mental hospital can help you. I know you don't think it would, but I'm telling you, if you give them a chance, they can save your life. She's telling him, you know, I went and got help for my eating disorder. Like, there are steps that you can take to like get better. Like, she's telling him this for a year and a half. And so the expert witness determines that this kind of constant beratement of messages on a young woman who is on psychiatric medication was basically abusive to her mental health, and that he's not telling anybody else, that she's burdening, like she's carrying this burden by herself. She can't tell anyone. He's not telling anyone else. He's putting it all on her, basically. And he's even sending her pictures of nooses, machine guns, a picture of him with like finger guns pointed at his head. And at one point, he actually says, the one thing that will make me hate you is if you tell anybody. And she's already so isolated.
Right.
You know what I mean? So on July 2nd, a few weeks before Conrad's death, this is when the tone of Michelle's text messages start to change. So it's been a year and a half of her kind of trying to help him through this. Also a year and a half of her telling him him telling her, tonight's the night I'm going to kill myself. And then her, like, it's kind of heartbreaking to read her text messages of, oh my God, I fell asleep. Will you just respond to me? Conrad, please respond to me. You're not responding. I'm worried that something happened to you. Yeah. So, you know, about a few weeks before his death, her text messages start to change, and she starts saying things like, I just want you to be happy. You'll be happy and protected in heaven. Jesus will take care of you, et cetera, et cetera. So
I kind of wonder, Lynn, what changed?
Well, the expert contends that her intent isn't criminal, that she believes that helping him die would be good for him, and that because of her medication, she is in there's a combination of medication. It's very rare, but if you combine this medication with also being like hypermanic, that you're essentially delusional. You know, like you're not based in reality. And there are kind of other things that point to that as well. So she's in a hypermanic state. And that's also why when she's not achieving her goals, which is she thinks this is the thing that's going to fix it, this is the thing that's going to help him, as if he dies. And when she's not achieving that, if she's in this hypermanic state, that's why she keeps pestering, saying the same things over and over again. Like, when are you going to do it? Why haven't you done it? When are you going to do it?
Right.
Like, because she's in a hypermanic state of like, this is going to solve the problem. So this is what the defense is contending. And so, she also, like, to kind of point out her delusions and like how out of reality, even Conrad's mother in the documentary was like, this was so clearly somebody who I don't think was based in reality, that it's kind of hard to even be like upset, because she also had a really weird obsession with Lea Michele, the actress, and the show Glee. She was obsessed with it. And so when that storyline happened where Lea Michele's real life boyfriend,
that's not a storyline, that was real life.
yeah, her real life boyfriend, and then also her boyfriend on the show, overdosed and died.
Oh man.
She was texting Conrad when she was watching the memorial episode, and she was like, you know, just talking about, I'm thinking about like you not being here anymore. And she pulled like full sentences from the show and texted them to him, and full sentences from like Lea Michele's interviews and texted them to him. So she had this weird like
almost a fetishization.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that rubs me the wrong way. Is like, and it is a very teenage thing to do, but just to make it about her.
Yeah,
that's what really, like, at the end of the day, like, she definitely had the motivation of trying to use it to get attention. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that too, especially like having been a teenage girl. But then again, that's what it is, though. It's like, you're a teenager. Your brain is not fully developed. You don't have the same. There's a reason why we don't consider teens to be adults, and part of it is because they don't have the long term. That part of their brain that is thinking like in long term consequences.
There's nobody that I know, though. Like you would not.
Oh no!
Text that person.
I
know you don't have her.
I absolutely
life
wouldn't,
or what have you. But I'm still. I mean, I was a troubled teen. I definitely had issues with mental health and with suicidal thoughts, and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say with you not in. I
suppose
can't.
What my argument would be, though, is if we're going to say that she manipulated his mental state to push him to that degree, when they both had mental health problems, why can't we say the same flipped the other way? Did he push her mental state for a year and a half to the point where she did that? You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's kind of like
Did he have text messages saying like, kill yourself? Like, why haven't you done it yet?
But if you have someone every day saying, I want to die, I'm in so much pain, I want to die, I want to die, I'm in so much pain, don't tell anybody about this, you're the only person I can talk to, I won't love you anymore if you tell anybody, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die all day, every day, and you already have mental health problems.
Right.
Like, did he wear her down mentally?
Sure.
You know, I think you can kind of, I can see it both ways, you know, and it's really, again, it's so hard to read those text messages that she wrote to him and not think like she has to be held responsible in some way. But if you combine my feelings about her mental state and my feelings about manipulating the law, I don't see how you could push through a murder conviction,
Right.
like a manslaughter conviction.
She got convicted.
Yes. So, so at the end of the day, the question is causation, right?
Yeah.
Did Michele actually cause Conrad's death? Did she cause it? And if so, she's guilty. If not, she's innocent. And the question at the heart of this case is, can you cause someone else to commit suicide when you are not physically present? Can you cause that? Because at the end of the day, we do have free will, and he made a choice to buy the generator, and he made a choice to follow through with it, you know. And so the prosecution needed to prove that Michelle Carter caused Conrad Roy's death. And so
I think the question that you're posing, I'm going to say, then what about love conners, love scams? Like, I gave this person my credit card. You know what I mean? Like, you can cause people to do a lot of things when you're not physically, like
right,
all
but
these
I would
romance
say,
scams and stuff online where they're bilking people out of thousands of dollars. Like you can,
but I would say
those
if you,
people are responsible. They're criminal.
But I don't think they are responsible, because if you actually handed over the money to that person, you're responsible.
You're responsible.
No, the other person's not responsible for that.
That person, they're committing a crime though. Like if they're taking your money or whatever, you're handing over your card, they're getting it in a fraudulent way. Like I forget what the charge is, but there's so many like, I mean, love scams.
I would have
stuff.
to look into that, but I think like I really think like.
But they're doing that. They're not in person.
I
or
guess
whatever.
the question is, where does your personal responsibility end? And where does somebody else's responsibility begin? And I think the more that we make that line murky, like, look, man, I think that what she did was fucking reprehensible. It's awful. Like,
I think
there's no way to
she's
get around how
criminally
badly
negligent.
it is.
I don't think it's manslaughter.
It is not manslaughter, in my opinion, and I don't and it scares me. Anytime the law starts overextending, I get nervous because, like,
I get those 1984 vibes.
Yeah, because when does it? Once you start that ball rolling, where does it stop? Like, you could say something you absolutely regret, and somebody could go kill themselves, and then what happens? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier with the cyber bullies and stuff like that. What about like all those like third graders that bully? So like an 11-year-old hangs themselves in a closet.
Yeah,
you know what I
are
mean?
those people criminally responsible? And if so, then it needs to be an even playing field. Why aren't those people being prosecuted?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's where we're going with this. Do you know what I mean? Especially when we're talking about teenagers and, you know, children. So the prosecution in their closing arguments contend that saying that Conrad had free will and should have just ignored her is an oversimplification of the case, and that between the messages badgering him to kill himself, she was also professing her love for him, and to a teenage boy with mental health issues, that kind of yo-yoing between like, I love you so much, kill yourself, I love you so much, kill yourself, was confusing and reckless behavior that pushed him over the edge. And so the judge takes 3 days to reach a verdict in the case. And when he does, he says the following: the Commonwealth has not proven as to that period that said recklessness or wanton behavior caused the death of Mr. Roy. However, he breaks the chain of self-causation by exiting the vehicle. He takes himself out of a toxic environment that it has become, and she called no one. She did not issue an additional instruction of get out of the truck. So if it was just the text messages, she wouldn't be found guilty. She was found guilty because he got out of the truck and she told him to get back in the truck. So that's what made it. Because if it had just been the text messages, like, and I guess that's kind of what we're talking about here. So when we're talking about cyberbullying, those people aren't held responsible because it's just cyberbullying. But I don't know. To me, that's he breaks the chain of self-causation by getting out of the truck. Does he not re-engage the chain of self-causation by getting back in the truck? And like, you can say she was negligent for not calling somebody for help, but that's not manslaughter. Do you know what I mean? Like, because
But it is negligence.
It's negligent, but then that's what the charge should be. It shouldn't be manslaughter.
I mean, if it kind of comes to the place of like, if you were driving a car and I didn't know that you were going to go in and shoot somebody, and then you came out into the car, I am now the driver of a getaway car, regardless of whether I knew it or not. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and she was charged with involuntary manslaughter, which I suppose is the same kind of thing that you get charged with if you hit somebody with your car. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. So she's found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. She faced a maximum of 20 years in prison. The defense asked for probation. She was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. 15 months of that was deemed a committed sentence. And so 15 months behind bars, basically. The defense asked that she be free pending an appeal. The appeal was granted, or not the appeal was granted, but she was free pending an appeal. And at the end of the day, her conviction was upheld and she began serving her sentence last February.
Wow.
So, I mean, it is a really fraught case. I have a feeling I'm going to get some fucking heat for my opinion. But I would encourage everybody to watch the documentary because it's a 2-part. The first part is the defense, or is the prosecution. Mm-hmm. The second part is the defense. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that this isn't a deplorable, horrible situation. I'm just saying that bending the law based on your emotions is something that I'm worried about, and I don't think it's something that we should be doing. And I also think, like,
I definitely agree with that.
If you start down the road of, like, he was too mentally fragile to stand up to her text messages, was she too mentally fragile to deal with his text messages?
Right.
You know, because you've got this, like, back and forth. Yeah. I mean, and that's really what
Equally
it is.
on both sides.
That's what they're talking about. It's this, like, spiral of two really mentally unwell people feeding off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they both had tried to commit suicide. They both, like, you know, had all of these mental health problems and were isolated in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, the most convincing thing, Christina, like, to go with what you were saying, was that, like, it did feel, and the prosecution did present very compelling evidence that she wanted attention.
That it's almost like a Munchausen by proxy thing, where it's like a little bit of, like, I can use this to get attention,
right?
You know?
And who's to say it's
other person?
It's mutually exclusive, right? Like, she could truly have believed she was doing the right thing,
right,
by helping him die, or encouraging him to
and
die,
also
and
use it.
also want the attention.
Right.
It could have been both of those things. You know, there's nothing to say.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, that is a freaking
The thing of it
teenage
is that
girl, you know?
we may never know, but she may never know either.
Yeah.
About like what her motivations truly were.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I truly, I didn't get to finish the whole thing for the defense, but I truly believe that it was both. I do think you can get worn down, especially at 17. Like, I think you can get to a point where, like, he seems like he's hurting so much that
Completing
fine.
suicide doesn't sound like the worst thing that could happen for him.
Yeah. But it's the pestering that sticks with me as, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. Wow. It's just a tough case across the board.
Yeah, it was a hard one to write out because
Yeah.
I was like, I remember reading those text messages and being like, oh no, fucking
this bitch.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, because it's awful. And if I was his family, I would feel that way too. But also, if I was his family, they make a good point in the documentary that you've got two sides and two sets of parents who are trying to not let it be their fault. And, like, his parents, his dad, whenever they talk to him about, like, you gave your son a black eye and a concussion because he didn't want to do the dishes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, that's the way I was raised. It's tough love. I wouldn't have done it any other way. Like, and they don't want to take responsibility for the fact that their son was in.
Talk about who's really responsible, because that is exactly
Let's
right.
dive into
it's
that.
the fucking parents. Like, honestly, like, if you have a conversation with your kids, or like,
And a kid who
I
you
worry
know,
about going down that path
I mean,
too.
but that's
I have a son who has depression problems, and I, as somebody who has a child with depression, there's been many times where I've worried about getting a phone call. Is his depression going to affect him this way? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're
I don't
very
think.
involved, and you have, you know what I mean? Like,
I
you're
don't
not
think you can
punching him in the
fully-
eye.
There's only so much. Well,
I don't think you can fully blame the
100%.
parents, because it does seem like
My
this
son
was an
would laugh at me
issue.
if I tried to punch him in the eye. He'd be like,
this
"I'm a
was an
foot taller
issue
than
of
you, bitch."
of something that, like, they were clearly aware of it. You know what I mean? They put him on medication. They put him in psychiatric facilities. But then you also do get a sense the mother is very much grieving, and, like, it's hard to watch her because her eyes are dead. Like, the light is out of her eyes, and it's hard to look at that. But you also do get a sense from his family, they want and this is such human nature, they want to put the blame somewhere. And as soon as they got those text messages, they were like,
Here it is.
Here it is. Here's where we can put it. But all the while knowing that this was somebody, he had Google searches for years about ways to kill himself. He tried to do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of, I don't know. Like, that's where you end up at the end of this. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's a definite discussion, and I think that's why it's good to bring up.
Nice. Yeah. That was a good one. I'll be thinking on that more. I want to go and watch the documentary now. I told you guys that I started watching that Scott Peterson one.
Oh, yeah.
Where I was like,
Ooh, if that one got you questioning things, this one's going to get you questioning things for sure. And it's hard to do that because you're like, no, I want to believe that they're shitty. And like,
yeah, exactly.
don't make me feel empathy for this person. Please don't make me feel empathy for this person. But that's what a good documentary does.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, good one.
Speaking of things that you're watching.
Yeah.
What do you got?
What am I watching? No, it's still Midwife.
Same.
I stopped abruptly though after that last episode.
I got your text.
I was like, WTF, I cannot.
I did warn you, and this isn't a spoiler really, but I did warn you, and I will warn you listeners, if you have begun watching Midwife on our suggestion, that there would be devastating deaths. That's not the last one.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. Yeah, I'm nervous. I am further along than you, which is surprising. So
I know. Well, I stopped. I was like,
yeah, you're like, I cannot.
Done. And I want to start watching, God, I have so many like on my watch list, but I want to start watching Watchmen.
Oh, it's so good. I'm caught up on it. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
I think that's my next one I'm going to work into. So,
Well, I finished Call the Midwife. I'm caught up. I'm a little bummed about it. But to continue with my making this a movie review podcast, I went and saw Jojo Rabbit.
Was it good?
It looks so good.
So good. It's really good. They managed to do something like so interesting and innovative with that movie where it's just like he went to them and he's like, now hear me out. I want this to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Where there's a funny Hitler in it, and we're centered around Nazis, and it's funny. You know what I mean? And but they balanced it in such an incredible way. You just have to. It's hard to explain. You should just go see it.
I do want to see it. It sounds really good.
Then after I finished Call the Midwife, because I needed to fill my like depression void, I started watching Unbelievable.
Nope. Can't.
Okay.
Can't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It is so good. It's based on a true case of it's Toni Collette, Merritt Weaver. It's their detectives who are trying to solve a serial rape case.
Oh yeah. I do know what you're talking about now.
What I will say, I stopped after episode 4. I'm gonna finish it, but if you are a survivor of rape or sexual trauma, just be aware before you start watching it, because it is it's hard to watch. The first episode especially is so hard to watch, but it is good and necessary. And I mean, so far I like it, but
we've talked about this before, because I think the thing that to me is the most triggering about it is the idea of someone not believing.
Which is what makes the first episode so upsetting, is because the first episode is completely centered around, you're not even getting any of the justice or any of the forward movement of like, maybe they're going to solve this. It's just this horrible thing happened to this person, and she was basically bullied out like into taking it back, and no one believes her. And it wrecks her fucking life. And like And to know it's based on a true story and that it happens all the time, it did make me want to throw my wine glass. So there's that.
Yeah.
Well, I have been in like the midst of like meetings all week because of my new job, which is all great. But the only thing I've been able to even halfway do is at night before I go to bed, I was watching some Midwife. So I'm still on the Midwife train too. So that's where I'm at. Oh, I did watch That's a Lie on my flight. I watched a thing about Ruth, Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Oh,
they have it. It's apparently on Hulu, and it is super cute. And she's
the most precious,
still alive and adorable, and approximately 3'2". She is the
and a billion years old. Yeah,
I love her. I love her. I recommend it if you just want something light.
Yeah.
It's great for the plane.
Cool.
Yeah.
If you've got suggestions for us, stories for us, just want to reach out, say what's up, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It is myworstdatepodcast.com. We are still taking one last shot at holiday stories, so send those bad boys in. Maybe I'll take a break from telling poop stories next week for
But
holiday
they're
stories.
the best. They are the best.
I feel like it was I reached Everest, so I'm going to leave that topic alone for a while.
Good one.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for listening.
Cheers.